My son is 13 years old and he is anaphylactic to dairy, eggs, peanut, and tree nut. Although we did find out he's not allergic to almonds, so he does eat almonds. So this was a different reaction than some of the ones he's had in the past, and we didn't think it was too serious when it started. So we had a new treat. It looks like a peanut butter cup, but it was dairy, egg, peanut, and tree nut, and actually labeled as top 10 allergen free. So it didn't have any of his allergens in the ingredient list. It looked like a Reese's peanut butter cup, but it was like dark chocolate, and then it had a paste of pumpkin seed butter inside. So he tried that when he was out with his dad, and he had it in the car, and he immediately felt really hot and said he felt a bit funny. His tongue started feeling funny. And then when he came home, which was like 5 minutes later, they came in the door and I double checked the ingredients because they still had the package and half of one of them. So we couldn't figure it out because it didn't have any of his allergens in there. But it was looking really pale by then. And then he threw up. So then we came home, then we gave him the EpiPen, and I called 911. And we had the ambulance come. By then, Luke was feeling a lot better because he had the epi. When we got into the hospital, the doctor looked at him, and we stayed for about 4 hours for observation and then came home. He was feeling fine. And then we later found out that the product had dairy in it. So that's what caused the reaction. I looked at the company's website, and they don't make anything with any of his allergens. So we actually thought maybe he had a new allergy. So we reported it to the CFIA because we knew they would test it for allergens so we could see what happened. But also I made an appointment with the allergist because we thought, well, maybe we need to test him for a pumpkin seed allergy, because none of us could remember if he'd ever had pumpkin seeds before. So we actually did have we had the appointment with the allergist last week, and he is going to have a blood test for pumpkin seeds just in case, but because it came back as having dairy in it, we figured it was probably the dairy. But we wanted to find out if either they had messed up and put something in there that he was already allergic to, or if he had a new allergy. So that's why I phoned the CFIA. So the reaction happened on a Tuesday evening. So Wednesday afternoon, I phoned the CFIA. I just looked them up on the web. They phoned me back the next day, and then I was flooded at work, so I didn't phone them back. And so they followed up on the Friday and phoned me and got me on the phone, which I was very impressed with. And they told me at that point that allergic reactions are their top priority for investigation. So they really wanted to find out what was going on. So I gave her all the details on everything that had happened, what his history was with food, and let them know that we had half of one of these treats left in the label. I sent her pictures of it and the label with all the details of the lot number and all that stuff, told her where we bought it. They didn't at first want to have the one that we had left because obviously that could be cross-contaminated. But then on the Monday, they sent an inspector to the house to pick up the one that we had. I think they'd also gone to buy some off the shelf to test that. And so then they must have found dairy in it, because the Thursday of that week, they issued a recall across Canada for the product. I was very impressed that they phoned to follow up twice, and that she was very detailed in her questions. She was very precise about whether we had an EpiPen, if it was a diagnosed allergy, and she asked for the pictures of the product. They followed up with the store. And then I was very impressed that someone came to the house the next business day to pick up the piece that we had left and the packaging from that. And then how quickly they reacted, because he reacted on a Tuesday, and then not that week, but the following week, they had already issued a nationwide recall. And when they issued the recall, then I sent them a thank you note and let them know how much it meant that they had done this and that they were preventing further reactions. And the inspector wrote me back and said, thanks for the comments, and said she'd share that with the team that had worked on it. So yeah, I thought they were great. Very important. And actually, part of what I sent her in that thank you note was a link to the CFIA's annual report. I think it was an annual report from like I think it was about 2014, where my son, both my sons and myself, were on the cover of their report. And I had spoken then through Food Allergy Canada. I've been connected with them and gotten interviewed about the importance. But really, overall, like the CFIA, it's so reassuring that we have good labeling laws and that we have the CFIA there to back them up, to make sure that what you read on the label is actually what's in the product. Because when you can't shop with that reassurance, it's just overwhelming to know what to buy, and you can never try anything new. And while this time trying something new didn't work out well, in general, it does work out well because the CFIA does a great job of enforcing the regulations on what's labeled on products. And I'm very familiar with, if it says may contain or not, that's a voluntary label. But when it's right in the ingredients list, it's in plain English, which is great, because when he was first diagnosed, it was all the weird names for milk. So no, it's very important that the CFIA is just there in the background, making sure that it's all running smoothly. And then when it doesn't run smoothly, that they do intervene like they did with this and do recalls. We watch the recalls and get the notifications on our phones, my husband and I. So we always watch out for things that aren't going to be safe for our family. I would just phone the CFIA basically if you have a reaction, because they'll let you know if it's something that they cover or not. So I'd say you can't go wrong. They're very helpful. You actually get them on the phone, which I think is amazing. So if something goes wrong, you suspect you've had a reaction due to a food, then phone the CFIA, because you can then find out if it was one of your existing allergies or something new. You're going to rule that out by when they test and find out what's in the food.